Have you ever heard of the Norse goddess of the sea and those taken by the ocean, Ran? Let's get into it and stay tuned and find out why it might be a good idea to have a gold ring in your pocket the next time you're on a body of water. Now then, in our last video on this playlist, we covered this personification of the ocean's husband, Agur. And just like her husband and the bodies of water she represents, she has a good side and a bad side. In Old Norse, her name translates into robbery, theft, or plundering. Well, of you. Being the mother of her 9 daughters who represent the waves, who may or may not contribute to her favorite pastime of plundering you. When you think of Ran, I would like you to think about how frequently the Old Norse were on the seas. Consider how important funerary rites and proper burials were to the ancestors. With that framework, now think of how terrifying it would be to have none of that and be pulled into the ocean and lost forever. A victim of Ran's net. What she is most famous for. One she has loaned to Loki. More on that later. This net was named Ranar Uthi, and she would snatch you up with it and drag you down to her hall, soul and all. I perceive her as somewhat fickle and sinister while simultaneously being a protector of sorts. In Fridtjof's saga, a captain is described as passing out rings to gain her favor or hospitality as they go on a trip across the ocean. This ring being a way to gain her hospitality. This implies if you had nothing to give her for her hospitality, it would not be very hospitable. Now then, we don't have all the puzzle pieces, as we don't have all the Norse lore or complete understanding. In another Norse saga, a captain and his crew who were lost at sea were depicted in hell with one hockey stick. This leads me to believe that only those that are caught in Ran's net are in Ran's hall. Or those that have hospitality have the option to go to hell with one hockey stick. We just don't know. Now then, Ran's net was viewed as such a special item that the Norse god Loki actually borrowed it from her to capture a problem that he got himself into, let's say. That problem is actually pictured here on the Drevall runestone, and his name was Andvari. This dwarf could turn himself into a pikefish. Andvari there lived underneath the waterfall and possessed a magical ring that brought him great wealth, and it had the name Andvaranat. This ring was said to bring great wealth, so Loki, borrowing Ran's net, captured him when he was in a pikefish, because that was the only way he could. Anyone could, until Andvari cursed it. But that's a story for another time. Now then, Norse skalds like to use her in a lot of different kennings, but the one that sticks out to me the most would be falling into Ran's hands as a way to describe dying at sea. In pop culture, actually, the young lady residing under the water in the Vikings TV show intro is said to be Ran by the creators. You can find out more about this fickle ruler of the sea dead in the Poetic Edda, Prose Edda, Volsunga Saga, and many others. Even the works of the famous Egil Skallagrimsson. The skaldic poets referred to her a lot because the ocean played a big role in the ancestors' lives and unlives. Now then, tune in tomorrow where we cover her 9 daughters that personify the waves. In closing, maybe next time when you go on that big fishing trip with all your buddies, consider putting a gold ring in your pocket, because Ran might just be fishing for you.